Good evening and Happy New Year. Welcome to the Miracle of Prosperity here on the New Thought Media Network. It's such a pleasure to be back after a holiday break with new guests, new information, and new insights. As you know, here on the Miracle of Prosperity, we look at prosperity in a myriad of ways. We understand prosperity to have many dimensions. We understand and we explore professional prosperity, where, in the words of Catherine Ponder, you have an excellent job with excellent pay, where you perform an excellent service in an excellent way. We look at relationship prosperity, where your relationships are sources of support and comfort and are no longer sources of conflict. We look at financial prosperity, where you have more than enough to spare and to share, and your finances are no longer a source of worry, but are a source of ease and flow. We look at logistical prosperity, where your life simply works and works wonderfully. And we understand that prosperity begins within, where you have a prosperous consciousness, an inner energy of peace, alignment with the source of all prosperity, and an approach that allows you to navigate anything with the idea that all that you need is already provided. And prosperity is a natural outgrowth of this connection with a loving, benevolent, beneficent source. So we look at prosperity in all these different ways, and we look at ways that we can eliminate some of the barriers to the prosperity that is a natural aspect of our being. So on this new year, we know that you have made New Year's resolutions. And these resolutions are probably different aspects of prosperity. So we're going to look at how we can make these resolutions stick. And that's what we're going to explore tonight. And it's not just me. We're going to explore these with Andy Kostow. He's a licensed personal coach who's had quite an interesting background, and he is a graduate of the Proctor Gallagher Institute of Coaching. And a couple of his taglines are, "Tell me what you want and I'll show you how to get it," and "It's time for you to manifest that which you desire." So welcome, Andy. We're so glad you're here.
Thank you. Thank you for having
Yes.
me.
Oh, absolutely. Now, there was this old phrase, "I came by it naturally." When somebody accuses you of doing something, it's like, well, I came by it naturally. That's what I learned. You were a physical trainer for quite a while, and you realized that in the course of your physical training, you were already doing coaching, and that's what prompted you to go to the Proctor Institute and study to be a coach. Is that accurate?
Yes.
Yes. So you
Yeah,
fell into it naturally as a natural part of what you were already doing.
that's correct.
And one of the things that intrigued me about you is we do have some common friends in Fort Lauderdale, and I kept stumbling upon your Facebook page and your wisdom and your guidance and your clarity, and that impressed me. I said, my guests, my viewers need to understand Andy. So I mangled your two taglines. Tell me what they are again.
It's time,
Okay.
and it's time to transform your dreams into reality, your
Yes.
goals into achievements, and your thinking into results. And
Yes.
the other one is tell me what you want, and I will show you how to get it.
Excellent. So, as we are at the beginning of the year, and we have all uh, created a vision for our lives for 2024, we have told the universe what we want. We have said, it's time, it's the beginning of the year. It's a new creative energy, it's a new cycle, and there is new hope. So, Andy, given that, how can we make our resolutions stick? If I had to ask you in 10 words or less, how can I make this resolve stick? What would you say to me?
Okay. You must really want it. is the first thing.
Okay.
If in your heart you have it, because if you don't want it in your heart, it's going to be pretty hard to do it, to have it.
Yes. Uh-huh.
The other is to have a picture of what you want in your
Yes.
mind, because we think in pictures. So,
Yes.
and then get emotionally involved in that picture. So see yourself doing it, because that will put you on the frequency of it, and you just
Yes.
act.
Yes. So let's work with the first aspect of that a little bit more. You must really want it. And I'm going to share with you an aspect of a conversation I've had with a friend recently who kept telling me that he really wanted to lose weight. And so I said, well, one of the things that you could do is walk down. This friend lives on a mountainous trail, and to walk down to the end of the trail and back every day would be about a half mile each day. And it's kind of a gradual slope, but it's so gradual that you don't realize it until you're walking back. I said, well, you know what? If you wanted to lose 30 pounds, I bet you could lose a pound a day if you walk down to the end of your trail and back. And he said, I don't want it that much. So, so what he told me was, I want it, but I don't want it that much. And is that something that you've run into?
Yes. So if you make a decision on what you want, a lot of people will just say, like, it's like wishful thinking. Like, yeah, I want that, but they don't want. They have. It's not a big desire, so it actually has to be something bigger than themselves.
Mm-hmm.
Something that something greater than themselves. Like if it's for, like you hear a lot of people say, I'm doing it for my children, or I'm doing it for my
Mm-hmm.
family, or I'm doing it. It's not about us. It's about, and that will make you do it. But it's something that you absolutely want it. You have to have it in your mind. You're like, I have to have this no matter what. It's a commitment to do it. Um,
Okay.
but it's
So
the,
it, so for this friend, basically, it sounds like one of the things that could help him, and this could help many of our guests too, is to not only want it on a whim or not only want it when it's convenient, but to want it with everything they are and all that they have. And it sounds like my friend hasn't really embraced the vision of it yet, because one of the things you say is you have to have a vision of it and embrace that vision. So, how would you guide my friend or anybody here who wants it but doesn't want it that badly
well,
to get a vision of it that they really must have?
okay. Well, the first thing is that when, like, if he says that I want to drop the weight, I would ask him, why do you want to do that?
Okay.
Let's say, and so then then it'll come out why he wants to do it. It's like, well, or he says, or it'll come out that he really doesn't want to do it,
Uh huh.
because it's like, well, I guess I really don't want that. But it's like, why do you want it?
So, in other
Why is it
words,
so important?
yes. So, in other words, quite often there's a need beneath the need. And that need beneath the need is the larger vision that they may be able to tap into that they don't even realize.
Well, yeah, so that's exactly right. They're not aware of it. They're not aware. They know they want to do it. They're like, this doesn't feel right. I would be so much better if I did this, but they're not aware of um, why, like the deep why.
The deep
You know,
why.
the deep why.
Yes.
Like they have to go inside. And this is what's really cool about this is that they get to dig, and that's what I
Yes.
do is I help them dig. It's like, well, why do you want it? Well, what's so important about that? But people are so unaware of, it's just habit. They do what they do because it's habit. They don't know why they do it.
Yes.
So I don't,
Yes.
and so they uncover that. I was like, and then it's like light bulbs go off. Well, oh my gosh, I really want to drop the weight because, oh my gosh, then I can play with my kids, or I could do, or I don't have any kids, but it's like I
Yes.
could use, whatever the reason is,
So
for me. Oh, go ahead.
So, in essence, getting to the deep why is likely to get them to the ultimate vision. And that ultimate vision is what will pull them forward versus, oh, I think I just want to do this out of habit or on a whim.
It will get them to say yes or no to their goal or
Mm-hmm.
what they want, because otherwise they will drop it within a week, 2 weeks.
Yes. Yes. 2 weeks max. Like the
Yeah.
people who crowd the gym parking lot on the first 2 weeks of the year, and then you don't see them anymore till the next year.
Yeah, because they think it's a good idea, but they don't know why they're doing it. They're like, oh,
Yes.
yeah.
Okay. So let's we have a couple of viewers who have had a couple of questions about this, and we want to work with that. One viewer had a question about a house, and they want to manifest a house for an intentional community, and it seems like a big ask, and they really want their own house, but they get overwhelmed with the details. So let's unpack this a little bit. And if it were me, I would ask, what does house symbolize to you to get to that deeper why? Because to me, house symbolizes security, stability, peace, and comfort. But I don't know what it might symbolize for the person. But that might get to the deeper why. What are your thoughts, Andy? Freedom. Okay.
Yeah, exactly. So, yes, so you want to say, well, why do you want the home? What are you
Mm-hmm.
going to do with it? Why do you want it? Then the other, and how it works is that in the very beginning, you just make a decision, and you make a decision to buy the home. First you want to know why you do it, why you want it, and it's a big reason because you're going to really want it, and then it comes from your heart. Okay, so then you make a decision, and once you make a decision, see what happens is we get ahead of ourselves and you get overwhelmed with the details because you don't need to know the details yet because you didn't decide that you were going to buy the house. Okay. So the detail, but how it works is that once you make a decision, what you need will come to you as you need it. Okay. And that's where people get scared. They're like, well, they physically don't see what it is that they want or what they need in front of them. But when you make a decision, you are instantly put in the vibration of what you want. So we say, yes, I want the house, and you have a picture of the house, you feel the house, and then the people, the resources will show up as you need it and not until you need it.
In
And
other words, you will trip over the right realtor, you will trip over the right mortgage banker, and you will
yeah,
trip over the right source of financing,
yes,
or it will trip over you. But the first step is, and oddly enough, in my book, The Soul of Prosperity, I spend the first several chapters looking at the why of everything so that we get, and I do all these questionnaires to ask people why, so that once that is established, then they can go forward with ease. But it sounds like the first step is to really embrace the deepest why. Uh, and so a house may mean freedom, a house may mean stability, a house may mean comfort, it may symbolize protection. Whatever it is, get to that. And when you get to that why, you get to the deepest yearning of your heart. You get to your heart's desire. My heart's desire is to feel the comfort, the peace, the stability, the solidity, the protection that my soul yearns to have, that God is the source of. Maybe these are things that I didn't have in my childhood. Maybe these are things that I didn't have growing up. Maybe these are things that my heart yearns to experience as a symbol of God's loving protection and presence. So when we get to that why, I'll quote Jamia Van Zant here. Jamia Van Zant said once, I don't need to know when, I don't need to know how, I don't need to know anything but who. And the who that Jamia Van Zant was talking about was the source. Jamia Van Zant said, once you click on that connection, then all the details will fall into place. They don't matter, just like Andy was saying. So focus on the why, focus on that deep emotional connection or desire, and connect that with the source, and you will be led and guided. Does that make any sense?
Yes. The other thing is to, um, it's not the actual house you want, it's what the house will give you. It's just like when we
Yes.
want a car, it's not the actual car, it's the feeling that we have when we're in the car. If we
Yes.
want the money, it's not the actual cash, it's what the cash is going to give us. It's the
Yes.
feeling of what we want, which is what you're
Yes.
saying. Yeah.
Yes. And one of the things that attracts that outer reflection is that inner energy. And that's one of the things I love about what you do, Andy, is you get them to connect with that inner energy. This inner energy of comfort and stability is what I want. And when you get them to identify that, in a sense, they have connected with that. And when they connect with that, they exude that energy. And if that energy is what is within them that they uncover and that they nurture, then its reflection in the form of the house or a car must show up because what's going on within them must show up outside of them. And so I love how the first thing you do is connect them with that inner desire because that inner energy creates its outer reflection and attracts its outer reflection. Now, we had another question as well, and this one was about weight loss and weight goals. So let's work with that. Let's bring that question back up. You're like me, you got to put on your glasses to see these things.
I, and I have two pairs, one for for this and one for really close. Mhm. Okay. Yes. So weight loss or weight release, whatever you
Release.
want. Yeah.
Yes.
'Cause I've been taught that whatever you lose, you will find.
Yes.
So
What you
it's a
release, you may not invite back.
right, gone, vanished. So with that, okay. So in our subconscious mind, okay. All right. So everything is a picture in our mind. Okay. So we have in our subconscious mind, they're called paradigms, which are just habits stored in our subconscious mind. And they were given to us by the people that raised us before we're born and about age 10. And so we're pure energy with some DNA. When we arrive on the planet, okay,
Mhm.
we're born on the planet and we leave the planet.
Mhm.
So whoever raised us put ideas and beliefs and pictures in our mind as we were.
Mhm.
So here we are trying to do things, and most people don't know that they are programmed by other
Mhm.
people to do what they do. They just
Mhm.
go, they have no idea because no one ever taught them. And that's what I told them. It's like, hey, you're programmed. Right. So the
Yes.
thing is like, they're like, really? I know. I didn't know it until I met Bob Proctor. I had no
Mhm.
idea. So anyway, part of that programming is your self-image, our self-image. Okay.
Mhm.
And
Yes.
everyone has a self-image. Now, self-image, we have an image of ourself in our subconscious mind. Okay.
Mhm.
And we have two, one that we project to the outside world and one that we have on the inside. Okay.
Mhm.
And whatever's on the inside is going to show up on the outside.
Mhm.
Okay. It comes out, whatever it is. So, in order to have weight loss and keep it permanent, with any goal, but specifically is that you first get a picture of what you want to look like. Okay. So it's about changing the pictures in your subconscious mind and getting emotionally involved. This is what I taught my personal training clients. It's like, because they would come and train for an hour and then go home and eat a cake. Right. And it's like, and they're like, oh, I don't know why I'm doing this. Well, because you didn't change the pictures in your subconscious mind of who you
Yes.
want to be.
Yes,
Okay.
exactly. In Marianne Williamson's book on weight loss, she says, create your future self, which is
Yes.
creating a picture of your future self. And that future self will coach you and guide you to it and I thought it was just BS until But it wasn't. I thought it was BS until it worked, right? I
Right.
think everything is BS until it works. So my comfort food is apple pie. When I'm eating apple pie, I am between 4 and 8 years old. I'm in my grandmother's warm kitchen and she's making it from scratch. I am safe, I am secure, and I am loved. So anytime I need to feel safe, secure, and loved, I think of apple pie. And my future self, my healthy, balanced self, said, well, one day I was running over to Giant. I had a bad day. I was running over to Giant to get the apple pie, and it flashed in my mind yogurt and strawberries. And I'm like, screw you, I'm getting apple pie. And it flashed in my mind again yogurt and strawberries. But my future self was telling me that yogurt and strawberries would help me to meet my future self in a way that apple pie wouldn't. And so that avatar was very useful, was extremely useful. That picture of myself as in the shape and at the weight that was optimal for me was so useful. So I'm telling you, this picture stuff, it absolutely works because once you create that picture in your mind is like a computer. Your mind can figure out how to get there. And my mind was telling me, you're not going to get there with apple pie. You're going to get there with yogurt and strawberries. And it's going to have the same effect. You're going to like it. It's going to feel good. It's going to taste good. But you'll get to your goal. And that to me was fascinating to support what you're saying about creating the picture in your mind.
Yeah, that this also ties into having a goal bigger, a big goal. Because if you want to just see, there's three types of goals. There's an A type, A, B, and C. And an A type goal is something that you already have. If you have a car and you're like, I want a car, that's not a goal because you already know how to do it. And a B type goal is something that you think you can get. Okay, so if you come up with a plan, you do this, this, and this, you can get it, but you'll stop and start and stop and start because it's not inspiring. Now, a
Mm-hmm.
C-type goal is something that you really want, something that, like we were talking about the house, it's something that you really, really want. You don't know how you're going to get it, but it excites you and scares you at the same time, and it's bigger than yourself. So if you have a specific reason, why do you want to drop the weight, and
Mm-hmm.
so you have this reason, a big reason,
Big reason.
and then you get the picture of the result that you want, just like you were talking about, Jim, right? And
Mm-hmm.
so you
Yep.
get that picture and you put the two together. And then I did it with bodybuilding when
Mm-hmm.
I was overweight and I became a competitive bodybuilder at age 55.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and so I had to do that. You have to change, and it had to, and my self-image was not a bodybuilder. It was, I go to the gym and I was like, oh my gosh, even though I was a personal trainer. But yeah, so you get a picture of what you want, decide, make that big goal, and what happens is it's the repetition over and over and over again with this picture and seeing yourself like this and just acting. It's like, even though you might physically not be that, in your mind, everything starts in your mind first. So you're going to just think about it and feel about it. And so it's all about feeling. Nothing happens without feeling,
Yes.
right? So
Mm-hmm.
you have to think. So that's why I say, well, how are you feeling, right? And,
Yes.
and then it's like, well, if the thought is causing the feeling. So if you're mostly involved in an idea that you don't want, you're going to feel bad. So
Yes.
start to get emotionally involved in
Mm-hmm.
what dropping the weight's going to do for you.
Mm-hmm.
Are there things you can't do now that you want to do? Are there things that just make a list of all of your wants and think
Mm-hmm.
and go down and say, why do I want this? And then get pictures and just inundate yourself with this. And you just become obsessed with the pictures. It's like,
Yes. The
and
picture
it
is the
happens.
driver. The picture draws you forward. The picture is the avatar. The picture reprograms your brain because your brain says, how do I get to this picture? And your brain figures it out. And it substitutes yogurt and strawberries for apple pie. Now, another aspect of this is how some of us reverse engineering weight loss by working with healing. And one of the subtexts of one of the questions we had was the weight came off when the weight came off. And what I mean by that is that this person was carrying a great deal of emotional weight, trauma from prior experiences, guilt and shame and judgment of herself, an idea that she was not supported by the universe and that she had to carry the weight of the world on her shoulders. And these things weighed her down. But as she lost that energetic and emotional weight, the physical weight came off as well. And that's something that we can address also. So, quite often, our heart's desire is simply an aspect of a state of love. And this is what we can hold on to here. Quite often, anything that your heart desires is simply one aspect of a state of being in alignment with love. This may be a symbol for it. A house may be a symbol for it. A car may be a symbol for it. A certain job may be a symbol for it. A certain romantic relationship may be a symbol for it. But in truth, the heart's desire, the need beneath the need, is simply a deep and profound experience of love in one form or another. And so this person indicated that working through trauma that caused her pain body to hold weight helped her physical body to release weight. And that's something that tracks with what you said about feelings being so important, Andy. Any other thoughts on that before we go to break?
Yeah, it's the inside job. It's that healing. Is if you're willing to do the work, you just dive in. Find the people to help you. They will show up when you make the decision, and we have so many resources that you can get help to change what happened. And to start to create what you really want, not what somebody gave you or what you think you can get, because most people are settling for what they think they can get, but we have infinite potential. Yes. We can do anything. We just don't know how. Yes. So and people don't know that. We are not taught that. Most people are not taught that.
Yes. So one of the keys, if I hear you correctly, is avail yourself to the sources and resources for your transformation. Avail yourself to them. They are there. You are tripping over them and they are tripping over you. Make yourself available to them. And with that, we're going to go to break and we're going to then answer some other questions. So if you have other questions or comments, guests, feel free to put them in the comments as we go to break. And that way we can look at them with our glasses while we're on break. And we'll see you back here on the other side, here on the New Thought Media Network.
Choice. Your creative superpower. We have the power to manifest as we dedicate attention to our thoughts, but often miss opportunity to achieve the greatest good. Your superpower is waiting to be unleashed to unlock a fuller, more rewarding world for all. Join us every Thursday at noon Mountain Time for Choice, Your Creative Superpower with Zoe DeMuro.
back here on the Miracle of Prosperity and the New Thought Media Network with Andy Kostow. And I want to just synthesize some of the things that we talked about in the first segment. We started with a question: you must ask yourself what you want. And as we evolved that discussion, we evolved that into what form of love do you desire to experience from within? How does that feel? And then what are some of the ways that that can outpicture in your life? And this was based on your coaching, Andy, where you said we have to go within first. And we have to create that internal picture. And once we create that internal picture, that avatar, that picture, that vision, that idea will help us to reprogram our brains to get it, to find it, to draw it to us and to draw us to it. And that is so profound. But it begins with self-awareness. And self-awareness requires and self-love, because love is the key. Love is the attractant. Love is the glue. Love is the magnet. So going within, what we're actually doing is we're going within and finding, like Bobby Caldwell said in his song, I want to find the love within. And when we find that love and what forms it can take in our outer world, we are literally programming ourselves with love to attract it. So I love what you said, Andy, about going within and asking, what form of love do you desire to experience? And what does it look like? I relanguaged it a little bit to say desires instead of want. But that's the essence of what you're teaching us. And I wanted to just summarize that because it's so useful to our audience. And somebody just made a comment about the weight loss. So let's work with that. The emotional part is most difficult aspect of weight loss. Yeah. Can you speak to that? Because you, Andy, are a you started your coaching career as a physical trainer, so you understand the body and its reactions. So can you speak to how we can work with our emotions to affect our physical experience?
Yes. So when you go to change, I know I get emotional when I change. A lot of times I don't know why I'm emotional, but the pictures create the emotion. So it also goes into, well, I don't want to get into that, belief and the self-love. But it's the pictures that will, all right, let me start. If you have a picture of what you want, your desire, okay, and you might not even believe it at first. You might have a picture, this is what I really want. I know that I wanted to be a competitive bodybuilder, and I took pictures, but I didn't believe it. But I had coaches and mentors and friends who believed it for me until I believed it. And it came through the actually doing the things I needed to do to get to that point, one day at a time. But each day I took it one day at a time. But I was very in check with how I was feeling and the pictures that I had of it. And it's through the repetition over and over and over and over again that changes it. So let's see. Okay, fear. Okay, fear. When we make the fear up, okay, we make it up. But what you do to get rid of the fear, okay, is to take action. You do something, one thing. I talked about this before on Facebook. And I do it because I get overwhelmed. I get fearful. I get, oh my gosh, how blah blah. What's the whole story? I basically, and it's because of the self image. But Do one thing towards your goal, towards just one. And I call it the one thing. What's the one thing?
Mm-hmm.
And you will see the fear leave.
Yes.
You will see the fear leave. The other,
Yes.
I was going to say, I heard a story about a guy a rich guy who was with a friend, and he saw a penny on the ground, and he picked the penny up, and the guy, his friend says, well, you have so much money, why did you pick that up? Right? And he says, because it says, in God we trust on it. And so I look at, every time I pick God, I say, in God. So I trust God, I believe in God and source. And I went on a tangent, but it's
I love what you said about do one thing,
yes.
and let's work with that for a moment, because one time I got a big bill, and I knew it was a big bill, and I knew I didn't want to deal with it. So I used that strategy of doing one thing. The first thing I did after leaving it in the mailbox for a couple of days was I decided to bring it into the house. The second thing I did was I decided to bring it from that place where I put all my mail that I want to ignore and bring it to the place where I do my bills. And the third thing I did was I decided to put it in the center of my desk. And the fourth thing I did is I decided to at least open it. And by the time I got to that fourth thing, something had shifted and I was no longer afraid of this big bill. So I love what you're saying, just to summarize. If something scares you, just do a little bit of it. Just do a little bit of a step towards it. Just take one step towards it. Just even consider considering it. You don't have to do it all at once. Just consider considering it. And as you take a step forward, the universe takes a step forward to you and starts providing you with the courage, the different perspective, a sense of peace, a sense of this is going to be okay, that you can take another step. And the universe then takes another step to you. So little by little, you take a step, the universe takes a step, and you will feel the fear abate. And as Andy said, in God we trust, you will trust that the universal energy that is building in your support will take you through it. So I love what you said, Andy. Take one step. Just take a baby step to address the fear, and something will begin to happen. And that's trusting the universe as a beneficent, beneficial place. Now, I suspect we have some other questions or comments to address as well. And what other things would you share with our audience tonight, Andy, about making your resolutions stick?
Well, the biggest thing is to really want what you want, to really want it. Okay.
So to connect with the heart's desire, is that what you're saying?
Right.
The heart's desire, that deep desire, that place where love lives within you. To connect with that place, it can't be a superficial ego-based thing. You must connect with that deep place within you that yearns to experience love. Is that what you mean?
Yes, or it's not going to happen. You're going to stop it. You want it to be. What's going to happen is that goals are for us to grow and to bring out what's never been brought out before. Okay, and so when you're inspired to do this, you're going to realize how powerful you are. Because you're going to start to do things that you've never done before. And that goes into self-image with weight loss, with anything, right? So your self-image your level of awareness is going to go up, your self-image is going to improve. And when you improve your self-image, your whole life is improved. Every area will improve. So, and this is all part of so that's what people say. I want their New Year's resolution. I don't like to call them resolutions. I like to call them commitments. It's my New Year's commitment. This is what I'm committed to change so that you can, because the goals are, we choose goals to create our compelling life. You
Mm.
know, that's why we're doing it. We're doing it to improve our life.
Mm-hmm.
So that's where the reason and the heart comes in, because it's like we have the ability to deliberately create what we want, our life.
Yes.
We don't
Yes.
have to go by what we were given or what,
Yes.
and we have such unlimited resources inside and all around us that,
Yes.
and we're not taught that we can do that. And that's why it's so goals are so important, because it gives us direction. Okay, so it's going
Yes.
to give you it's like going out, pulling out of your driveway, and you're like, okay, now where do I go? Right, if you don't
Yes.
have any
Yes.
goals, you just like flounder around and do nothing really. But it's all about you and well, I'll include myself, our life, and what we
Yes.
want to create. And
Yes.
that's why it's like you don't have to be the way you are. And everyone,
Yes.
I believe everyone has the ability to change.
Mm-hmm.
And
Yes.
so, and you can start your day over at any time. It could be
At any
midnight, start it
time.
over.
Behold,
So,
I make all things new again. Now, Andy, one of the things you said that I would like to highlight is you used the word inspire. And that is extremely powerful. Inspire. What does that word mean? It means tapping into the spirit within. Same Latin root, right? When you are inspired, you are triggered. You are you are triggered into that part of yourself that is your spirit, that exceeds the limitations of your body, your mind, and your miseducation. When you are inspired, you tap into a greater power than what you perceive to be your physical power. When you are inspired, you tap into the great infinite intelligence, the great infinite energy, the great infinite light, and the great infinite source. Because that source, your spirit, your eternal spirit, is at one with that source. So, what you said is so important about you must be inspired. In order to make it happen, you must be inspired or find the inspiration within. And that's why the first step in any process of manifestation is self awareness, self knowledge, and self embrace. And how does it work? If God has a greater plan than you ever imagined, you just let God carry you on the magic carpet. I think it was Steppenwolf that did that song in the 70s, Come Along on a Magic Carpet Ride. It's like stepping on it's like stepping on one of those moving walkways at the airport. You step on and you're going to bam, bam, bam in rapid succession. You'll meet the people. Bam, bam, bam in rapid succession. This will fall into place and that'll fall into place and this will fall into place. And all of a sudden you'll think, how did I get here? You said yes to the universe, and the universe then confronted you with love with a series of yeses. So, you know, we are, and this taps into something you said earlier, Andy. One of the things you said earlier, Andy, was we think we need to know every step of the way. We only have to take one step, and the universe will put us on that conveyor belt and take us. And so the key is to understand if we take one step, the universe will meet us and carry us forward. Is that one of the ways that you would address that question, Andy?
oh yes, because what will happen, almost guaranteed what will happen, is that you will get bigger and better than you ever imagined. I have experienced it so many times that
Mm-hmm.
I have a goal and I give it to the universe and God, and we can't see the things that need to happen, the unseen forces, right? And so what we need shows up. And I have had, oh my gosh, uh, amazing things. I ended up, I moved to Florida the first 3 years ago, and I wasn't sure how I was going to do it. And I made a decision. The realtor showed up and talked to him. He's like, well, you know what? You should just uh, go on an Airbnb and stay there for a month. You just pay it online and then go. I had it picked out. I didn't really know the area. It turned out that I could see the ocean from the living room where I was. And it turned out bigger and better than I ever imagined. The
Yes.
people I met, and I ended up the last 3 years in an apartment with the ocean sunrise every morning coming in my window, and I just had on my wall. It's like I would see the ocean sunrise over the ocean every morning and have a comfortable bed. And you stick to your heart's desire,
Hmm.
and you will get way more than you
Yes.
ever imagined.
Yes. Because the mind, the energy, the resources, and the love of God is unlimited. We literally wall so much of God's creative energy off by putting it into our human limited mind, which has been limited by past failures, limited by the expectations of others, limited by what we see as struggle, limited by guilt, limited by shame. And what that does is it puts God's huge desire in this small box. But when we literally go into that deep place within, that spirit within, that is connected to the infinite spirit, those limits fall away because we're not dealing with the physical. We're not dealing what we've seen and known. We're not dealing with our miseducation. We're only dealing with the unlimited energy of God. So we step on God's conveyor belt, we say yes, and God's conveyor belt moves us forward in a way that is the universe's conspiracy for our good. So we're going to take another break, and we'll be back with a few final surprises here on the New Thought Media Network.
New Thought Media Network is on the rise. We're looking to grow with you. Do you have technical media experience or perhaps a desire to learn? Are you willing to volunteer your precious time and attention? We share this message to benefit all. If you possess a computer with a camera and a microphone, we will share our knowledge with you. Behind the scenes or being the star, let us bless our one. Contact us at info@ntmedia.org.
And we're back here on the New Thought Media Network with the Miracle of Prosperity. And we're going to just do a couple of final surprises. So I want to thank you, Andy, for being our wonderful guest tonight with your wisdom. You blessed us with your wisdom, your insight. What are you working on these days, Andy?
Well, I have a free master class. It's a workshop, 5-day workshop at the end of the month coming up. It's I have a once a month seminar coming up starting in February. So that's and
It's
I'm
time to
starting.
turn your dreams into reality. And people can find you through Facebook, Andy Kostow. Is that correct?
Yes.
Oh,
It's,
wonderful, wonderful. Sounds like you're working on some wonderful things, Andy.
yes, it's exciting to be able to have the workshop and have people attend it. And it's just what I did tonight. I do it for 5 days for free so that people can learn. Um,
That's
It's good.
absolutely wonderful. That's absolutely wonderful. So you're working on some good things, huh?
Yes. Personally, yeah.
That's a good thing.
I have my big goals, yes, which is
Yes.
what I documented on Facebook so that people can see the process of what I
Mm,
do. I do take people through a 6 month process. It's
mm,
called Thinking into Results, which is just what we talked about today is just part of it.
mm,
Articulate what you want and then change the self image. But so I do that. I have group coaching, and I
mm,
teach people, take people through the process. So it's a 6 month process.
mm.
Um,
Wonderful.
yeah,
Sounds like you're working on some very wonderful things.
big things too. So we want to
Good.
reach the
Big things.
world. So it's
Yes.
done, and we have, bring on as many people as we can.
Cool. Cool. Great things. Well, I'll tell you what I'm working on.
Yes.
I am working on a pop up class this Thursday called Channeled Messages for 2024 and Beyond. Every year I do this class, it fills up pretty quickly, and it's filling up amazingly quickly this year, where I channel a group of beings, the masters of planetary healing and transformation. These beings give us guidance on earth changes, the political situation, the situation around the globe, what's happening in terms of conservation, etc. But then they also give guidance on what we can expect individually in 2024. So people have a chance to not only hear the worldview from Spirit on 2024, but also to hear what's happening for them, how they can navigate 2024 and all that it offers. So that's one of the first things I'm working on these days. And then I have a couple of other classes that are just fascinating to me. One of them is on relationships. The class on relationships that I'm doing is a 6 week class. It's called Happy Relationships, Happy Life. And it's based on something that occurred recently when we did a series of classes on relationships. We realized that we had just touched the surface of how important good relationships are to a good life. And we looked at family relationships, but then we realized every relationship was a sacred opportunity for healing, growth, transformation, and for joy. And so we're going to work with conversations, we're going to work with meditations, we're going to work with healing, we're going to work with healing energy, we're going to work with exercises to develop relationship skills and to work out from a spiritual perspective relationships so that we can nurture happy relationships for a happy life. And this is a 6 week class. Now, all my stuff and everything else that I've got going on, because I've got a number of classes and workshops and pop ups, all of that is on my website, www.revjimwebb.com. And so all the tools are available for all of us to have a prosperous 2024. And I want to thank you, Andy, for joining us and sharing with us some of the tools that you make available to us for 2024. I want you all to look up Andy on Facebook, Andy Kostow, Kostow. And thank you so much for your time, your attention, and for sharing your wisdom with the group. Everyone have a wonderful weekend and wonderful evening here on the New Thought Media Network. Good night.